Humorous memes, hashtags, and merchandise that frame drinking as a way to manage parental stress. The rise of wine mom culture has sparked a growing conversation about alcohol, social pressure, and the risks of normalization. Joining us to talk about this cultural trend is Morgan Ryan, Director of Growth Marketing for Smart Start Ignition Interlock. Morgan, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's start by talking about the big picture, right? So binge drinking among young women between the ages of 18 and 25 has outpaced men for the first time in history. Why do you think this is happening, Morgan?
Yeah, so this in our industry in the ignition interlock space is not just a trend that is concerning. This is alarming for us to see. This particular age range in women, we believe is partly due to the symptom of COVID. We did see that there were, women experienced a disproportionate amount of job loss compared to men. They were told that they had to balance caregiving and education and employment in a different way than their counterparts were. However, we do believe that this is also a direct impact of intentional marketing and what I would call your boat-friendly, right, your canned cocktails, spritzers that are also marketed as low-calorie, which is another buzzword specifically targeted to the female generation.
And it's interesting that you say that. We were talking before the interview, and these canned cocktails, you mentioned the low-calorie, the boat-friendly, the colors even, they really are being targeted to women. Why is this so concerning when we look at the overall picture of women's health and well-being? The normalization of drinking so often, what really is at risk here?
Yeah, I believe that this is a multifaceted societal problem. I think that women, specifically moms, have experienced that rush of influencers in our social media streams, who originally were trying to make light of this, balance it all situation, coffee cups that say this might be wine and things of that nature. But what's happened is that sentiment has shifted very quickly towards and I deserve this, I earned this mentality. In addition to pretty colors. And I think what women need to realize is that these beverages, these canned cocktails, they are marketed very specifically and intentionally to not only create, yes, an all-day drinker and an all-scenario drinker, very convenient, right? It's a lot different to pour a glass of wine in a glass versus something in a can, but they also have on average about 3 times the amount of alcohol by volume compared to a regular glass of wine.
Wow. And Morgan, what are we seeing as far as trends go? Are we seeing more women getting pulled over for DUIs? Are we seeing that?
Yes, unfortunately, I myself am a stigma-free IID advocate. We are generally 1 degree removed from someone that has had a DUI or is dealing with an addiction. And we have seen the numbers rising very dramatically for women. And again, that's quite alarming. I think what we've seen as well in market is women who are looking for opportunities to, yes, heal and have more resources. And this is a larger part of the conversation. I think in many ways, women are underserved. And I do think, my company, as an example, Smart Start, if a woman is facing a DUI, we have been very intentional about the design of the device and things of that nature to really serve women who are in that position, trying to get their dignity back.
Absolutely. And something that you guys make a point to say is that the devices are designed with dignity and discretion in mind. And also with Smart Start Ignition Interlock, if someone were to get a DUI, most of the time that is mandatory to have a system in your vehicle, but also you guys offer voluntary options as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we do. And I think in most states, depending on your specific situation, an IID, an ignition interlock device, or a car breathalyzer is going to be mandatory. There's always aggravating factors. If you're a first-time offender or a subsequent offender, one of the things I love about Smart Start is we have a program advisor team. We don't even call that team a sales team, which is, I guess, essentially what they do, but they're there to help you through your specific state. All states are different based on your offense, and they're there to just give you free advice. But yes, our device itself is small. It fits in the palm of your hand. It kind of, I equate it to almost like a vape. That's sort of the size of it versus other competitors in market. And I think too, something that people should consider, women specifically, when or if they find themselves in this situation. I personally, if I had a sister or a mom who was going through this, I would want them to be a part of a company, knowing they would have this stipulation for 6 months or 18 months or whatever that is, that doesn't judge them and know that they are in a judgment-free zone.
Absolutely, Morgan. Well, smartstartinc.com is where people can go for more information. You can also find their new podcast that's on Spotify. Visit smartstartinc.com. Morgan, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation and very timely one at that.
Thank you.
We're back after this.